It's true, everyone. Keenan Allen is a Chicago Bear. Late last night, the Bears acquired Keenan Allen for a fourth-round pick, number 110 overall. The Chargers needed to clear some cap space. The Bears needed legitimate depth in their wide receiver room. This is more than depth. This is the top of the wide receiver with DJ Moore. And we made a splash. Anybody who's doubting Ryan Poles at this point, find the door, find your way out, because this man is cooking. All right, if you missed it last night, Swifty went live from Swift Sport Network. I jumped on with him for about a half hour, and then he continued on for another half hour after that. It was huge, guys. It was like Christmas. This is what it's all about. This is why it's fun to be doing what we're doing, because this is what gets us going. This is what makes us competitive to take the North. I guarantee you, the Packers and the Lions are on notice right now. They are worried about the Chicago Bears. Huge implications with this one. I'm going to go through everything. I'm going to go through his contract. I'm going to go through our roster. I'm going to go through the salary cap. I'm going to go through it all and what it means as well, because you're already seeing all of the rumors out there about what this means. You're hearing the Caleb side saying, this definitely means we're taking Caleb. You're hearing the Justin side saying, well, this is nice because it's depth. But there are definite signs to what this means. And if you look it up right now, you're going to see everybody saying the Bears still have $30 million in salary cap. They're wrong. This is something I know is this salary cap. When we went live, I didn't know the exact numbers of Keenan Allen. I've corrected it now on Twitter. It is $23 million that we're on the hook for, and that means we're out of salary cap. This is it. That's all the moves. I'm going to break it down and what that means for the Bears moving forward. First of all, this was our wide receiver room last year. Decimated. It was terrible. One of the worst in the league. Absolutely worst. Don't look at Equanimeous St. Brown at the bottom, because even though his passer rating when targeted to was 109.7, the man could never get open. So his PFF grade was still 55.2, and he didn't even make an impact at all. Non-impact. We had the 10th ranked receiver, and then 107th, 115th, and a couple of not applicables because they didn't play enough or have any kind of impact at all. Well, where do we stand now? Well, we've got the number 10 and number 11th ranked in the league from last year. Don't look at Keenan Allen's 40 time. That's from his combine 10, 11 years ago, and he had an injury. It actually impacted where he got drafted. He fell to the third round because of that, even though his elite talent. We have two guys now with great drop percentages, great contested catch, great pass rating when targeted to, and just yard machines. I mean, they get open, they run routes. Keenan Allen has really primarily thrived in the slot, but he can play outside as well. He really mixed it up with the Chargers. You want to see what a quarterback can do that everyone touts. Let's see what Justin Herbert does this year with nothing. He's got nothing right now. I can almost guarantee you number 5 is going to the Chargers as a wide receiver. Marvin Harrison Jr., Romo Dunze, Malik Neighbors, one of those three is going to the Chargers. I can guarantee that now. What are the Bears going to do? We'll get into that in just a minute. But here's Keenan Allen. Look at 2016. That's his only down year because in the first game of the year, he tore his ACL, and then he had some ankle injuries. He was out for the entire year. He had a great rookie year, good second and third years. Right after he came back from that injury, he was motivated. He has 7 1,000-yard receiving years. 6, but one of them's 992 yards. I'm going to count that. And he has a career 11.6 yards per reception. That's crazy good. 59 touchdowns in his career, 10,530 yards, which is more than double all-time Bears greats. This is a receiver that's going to make an impact on the Bears. The downside, it's only 1 year. All right, so the rumor with that right now, and I'm going to be clear when there's rumors, official stuff, it's official. Keenan Allen is a Chicago Bear for $21.3 million. It's unofficial. It's rumor that right now Ryan Poles is already working to restructure that to a 2 or 3 year total, so 1 or 2 year extension onto that, which could move some of that salary cap around. We'll look into that in a minute. But look at his PFF grades over the last 11 years. This last year, 86.3. 84.8, 77.5, 84.9, 80.8, 90.3, 89.3, 88.3, 79.2. He is the definition of a wide receiver 1. He is a stud. We have 2 wide receiver 1s on this team. 2017 Comeback Player of the Year after the torn ACL, 6-time Pro Bowler, 10,000 receiving yards. Whew. All right, so here's his contract. 1 year, $23.1 million. That puts us on the hook for. So what does that mean for the Bears' salary cap? Well, this is the video I showed before that we had about $22 million left. Well, let's look at it now. All right, so here's a full breakdown. I get this is kind of jumbled. I get your screen might not show it. I'm going to do my very best to break this down for everybody so you understand what's going on. This is the meat and potatoes stuff, okay? I get this can be complicated. If you don't want to listen to this stuff, fast forward it and you can just know we don't have much salary cap space left. We have about 6.5 million, and Ryan Poles likes to run with a buffer between 5 and 10 million, 8 and 10 million really. So we're already into his buffer. I don't see much else nothing else can happen but the draft at this point if you look at this. Other places are going to show you we have about 35 million left. That's because look in the middle at all these red. These red haven't been applied to that 57,185,000 that it shows on Sport Track that we have left. Okay? So Keenan Allen, 23,100,000. Why do I show red? Because the salary cap is included off your top 51 contracts. So see next to the yellow to the left there, it says with top 51. Well, I highlighted what it shows there of our lowest level contracts. If you look close, that $915,000, that's a player on the roster, but that's crossed out because it's not top 51. All right, so compare Keenan Allen's $23,100,000 to that $985, and you get a difference of what it makes an impact on our salary cap. Yes, this is some complicated stuff. It's just going to be a lot easier once Sport Track updates, once they update the salary cap. But this is what you have to do to figure it out. So $22,115,000 impact for Keenan Allen because it goes against the lower level player. Kevin Byard, I put Kyard, my bad. Byard, 7, and this is an assumption that it's 7.5 million. He may be backloaded, same as Gerald Everett. We don't know the details of it. Coleman Shelton, we don't. So there may be some space here, guys, but this is what we have to go off the assumptions of at this point. 6.5, 5.0. If you can see how that works, the 6 million minus the 985, because the contract that comes down off of it would make 5.015. All right, so add all those up, and then take the projected draft pool, which at this point now is $13,290,000 against the cap with those 4 picks. That leaves us with $6,537,000. Look to the right there. There's 2 players that could give us some potential cap savings. Larry Borum is on the hook for $3,199,000 minus $83,000 dead cap. Travis Homer, $2,100,000 minus $225,000 dead cap. But then take them against the same thing, against players that would be coming off or back onto the contract, and that's a $915,000 difference. So we can save $1.9 million with Larry Borum, so $2.5 million total. Either way, we're only back to about $9 million, which barely gets us into Ryan Poles' buffer space. I get this is the nerdy analytical stuff. This is stuff we have to understand where we're going. So we have roughly $6 to $10 million of salary cap once you apply all these contracts onto the salary cap. All right, so here's our guide for where we stood at the end of last season. Some real deficiencies in this offense that made it a huge struggle, not only on the starters here, but on depth. We had no depth. We were struggling for depth. Well, where do we stand now? I've updated it where these guys rank, and this is significantly different. Now, I didn't update the names, so don't look at the names, but you guys can see the pictures. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett, all red right there. Justin Fields, Khalil Herbert, DeAndre Swift, all red. Cole Kmet, red. Tevin Jenkins, red. Darnell Wright, red. Nate Davis needs to have a bounce back year. If not, he's cut. But we did get some depth with Bates. That's what he's here for. He's not here to be a center to compete with Coleman Shelton. That's not what it is. In fact, I'll show you the depth chart in a minute. Coleman Shelton's brought in to start, but he's not even an answer permanently. He's a low-level starter, just like Braxton Jones. So they're a light green grain. Huge upgrades though, but still clearly a huge missing piece on the X receiver. All right, so here's the receiver room. Here's what you need to see to understand what this means. Keenan Allen's on 1 year right now. If we extend him, that's awesome. DJ Moore has this year and next year. Velus Jones and Tyler Scott at this point are non-factors. They're wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6. Colin Johnson, Nasimba Webster, those are practice squad players. Until proven otherwise, it's nice to have a gem that comes out of the rough. Those are practice squad guys. We're missing 2 legitimate wide receivers, plus one of them's on the final year of his contract. You don't run it like that and not draft at least 2 wide receivers in this draft. I can guarantee you, mark my words, take it to the bank, we're drafting 2 wide receivers in this draft. Well, where do all our needs stand? Let's look at everything we need. We have no cap space left. What do we need to fulfill in the draft? Here's our offense. We need a tight end 3. Now, we can bring in Mercedes Lewis and have him fill that role, and that won't take much cap space at all because it will replace a lower level $985,000 with a $1.21 million, $300,000. That's a good option at this point. Some of these might have to be filled with that, but there's 5 needs right there on offense, and we have 4 draft picks. 4 draft picks, 5 needs. No, guys, we're not going to put the guys in here that are brought in for practice squad and 90-man roster depth. We're looking to compete now. The moves Ryan Poles is making are win now moves. So you can make Justin Fields red, but is that a win now move? He wants to win now. He's in win now mode. The moves he's making right now are win now moves. So you need 2 wide receivers. If nothing else, you need one that's going to be able to replace Keenan Allen next year and come to the understanding DJ Moore might not be able to be extended. He's already said he wants to retire a Bear. I see it happening, but you've got to take into consideration everything that goes along with that. We need 2 wide receivers this draft, no matter what. Ryan Poles has already mentioned at the Combine, this is a deep tackle draft. He intends to bring someone to compete with Braxton Jones. And no, that's not Matt Pryor. He intends to bring someone in, compete with Braxton Jones, and either make that person the swing tackle or make Braxton Jones the swing tackle. Larry Borum will be cut. Mark my words, that's going to happen. He was one of the worst tackles in the league. Coleman Shelton was not brought in to be a permanent starter. He's a 1-year option. He's a 1-year contract. That means we're bringing him in while we draft a rookie. I don't think that's Jackson Powers Johnson anymore, because if you're drafting Jackson Powers Johnson, you're starting him day 1. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm seeing something more along the lines of second round with Zach Frazier. That's where my head is right now. Tight end, we need tight end 3. That can be Mercedes Lewis. So we're going to say 4 to 5 needs here. If you guys want to replace Justin Fields, that's 5 to 6 needs. Let's go to the defense. On defense, we need 2 defensive ends, and we need a defensive tackle. We have to have a defensive tackle. That's a must. We don't have one right now for the 4th option. We can run it with Khalid Kareem at defensive end and only need 1 defensive end, but I really don't see that happening. I see us needing 2 of them. It's possible we could end up with 1, but Dominique Robinson's the same boat. He's just not an option. He's terrible. He's absolutely awful, and the Bears know that. Is there someone we can pick up on a league minimum deal? Maybe. I don't know who it is, but are they going to be better than Khalid Kareem? Probably not. Better than Dominique Robinson? Probably. So we've got at least 2 needs there, 3 most likely. So 2 to 3 on defense, 5 to 6, 4 to 5 on offense. We need at least 6 to 7 draft picks in this draft. I guarantee you Ryan Poles will not leave this draft with 4 picks. Here's a look at your wide receivers. Are we going to go with wide receiver 1, Rome Odunze, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors? I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do at this point. I'm 99.99% confident he's not taking Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams already posted a like of the trade. If I'm Caleb Williams, I absolutely want to come to the Bears. At this point, you see this. You see Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. You see DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and you see that line getting beefed up. That is the best situation a number 1 overall pick wide receiver would have, or running back, or quarterback would have ever come into. Ever. If he ends up going to New England, he's going into a slightly better situation than Justin Fields went into. And not by much. He's going to struggle. If he goes into the Commanders, somewhere right in the middle there, but nowhere near where the Bears are built up to this year. I guarantee you, Caleb Williams is going to try to put his best show on for that 30 visit now. He's going to want to be a Chicago Bear. He'd be crazy not to want to. We're going to take 2 wide receivers. That's going to happen. Who it's going to be, I don't know. I still really like Xavier Legette, and I still want Marvin Harrison Jr. or Rome Odunze, and I can see that happening with this being the current contracts of the Chicago Bears. I hope someone like Keenan Allen can help Tyler Scott along, DJ Moore help Tyler Scott along in year 2. That's a huge reason to have these vets like this, to be able to help these guys along. But there's no guarantee. Tyler Scott with a 4th-round pick. He had horrible hands his first year, a lot of problems running routes. He dropped some huge plays. He had a couple really good plays at the end of the year, a couple good on the outside there. That one I can remember on the outside. Really nice play by him, but he's got to show more. All right, so I did some videos with these scenarios. Actually, one of the biggest videos I ever did where I talked about how Ryan Poles can be legendary by trading down. I even did one about if he was more conservative. Here's what I see as the scenarios right now for the Bears. 3 options, and all of them involve trading out of number 1. If we're going to have 6, 7 picks that we need, we have to. I like option 1 the most, but this is the most realistic view on where I stand right now with what the Bears are going to do. Number 1, the double trade that everyone likes from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. It's only realistic because now the Bears have a prime. They can trade down as far as they need to now because they do not have to take a wide receiver 1, as in Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, or Malik Neighbors. They can settle for Brian Thomas. He's a very, very solid wide receiver that doesn't have to step into that wide receiver 1 role on the first year. That's the difference of having Keenan Allen now. We can accept a Brian Thomas. We can accept an Adonai Mitchell. We can do that trading back to 13, 14, 15. That can happen. So that's something possible. On option 2, that's what would happen. I put 1-3. It should be 113-19. My bad there. Just realize that's what it is. I'm so early in the morning recording this, guys. I'm not going to take the time to change that. Just know that's what that is. Up above it says 113. So that'd be trading with the Raiders. Right? So on the first one, trading down with the Commanders, I see them coming to the plate now playing ball because they know the Bears can trade out of that. They know the Bears can trade with the Giants. They know the Bears can trade with New England. They can trade with even the Vikings. They can trade with the Raiders. They know that's a bigger possibility now. And that's absolutely something on the Commanders' mind. The Commanders traded Sam Howell. They have a plethora of picks, and I guarantee that's something they're stocking up and getting ready for. They want to make a run for this. It's just a matter of whether Ryan Poles says, yep, I'm accepting this. I'm ready to do it. It will not happen until Caleb Williams has his pro day, until he has his top 30 visit with Hallis Hall. That's how Ryan Poles is. He's methodical. Even if he's 95% on keeping Justin Fields, he's going to go through the process because he has to check his boxes the right way and do his job. He's got to make sure, well, the slight bit of chance that this kid could be Pat Mahomes, I've got to make sure I check that box and make sure I understand exactly who this kid is. There's the other things of Ryan Poles is going to be seen with that too. He didn't even win in college. Miller Moss won a bowl game against ranked teams when he couldn't even do that with the same weapons. Why couldn't he do it? You guys might think I'm knocking on him right now. That's not what I'm doing. This is what a GM is going to go through in his head of analyzing what was the difference. Why were his teammates saying we have our team back? Was he that big of a distraction? Is he going to be that kind of distraction here? Is he too much into glamour and attention that he wants to? I'm not saying these things are all real, but these are things they'll have to consider. Or instead of at the combine where he said, well, I see a similar arm angle, but that's it, and he didn't want to make comparisons to Caleb Williams, he can get in there and say, dude, Caleb, tell me about you. And Caleb could be the most humble guy, draw stuff up on the board, say, this is why things didn't work. This is what I want. This is how I can elevate it, and I need someone to help me with this. He might blow his socks off. And something as silly and simple as him being at the Players' Championship, as much as both sides mock that, it doesn't matter. That might be something Ryan Poles says, okay, in this time, why weren't you preparing diligently day in and day out with your head down instead of being out in the public spotlight? Guys, don't take this as me knocking him. Take this as they're going to be analyzing every freaking little thing. And I guarantee you they're analyzing every freaking little thing. So, will the Bears trade back 2 spots? And yes, the Patriots absolutely could trade up 1 spot for a very minimal, kind of like we did last year with the Eagles moving up 1 spot. It was basically straight across trade value, chart value. That's what 234 in the second round. It's actually a third round pick. They could overpay a little bit. Just the concept here is what's important. We could pick up an extra first, an extra second, and those extra 3 picks. That would give us 7 picks. Well, if we traded back with the Commanders and then with the Raiders, who have obviously shown they want to bring in a rookie quarterback and say they want Jaden Daniels, they want to jump up to number 2 overall after and jump ahead of the Patriots, they would overpay to do it. 113, 244, 377, and 2 future firsts, possibly a player added in there too. That would give us 113, 19, 236, 244, 3/3, and a 4th. That's 8 picks there. That would solidify the Bears. These are all premium quality draft picks, dude. This is building through the draft. Option 3, best offer available. Maybe someone blows them away like the Patriots or like the Panthers did last year. Multiple first-round picks, multiple picks on top of that this year. Multiple or a player on top of it. Maybe it's the Vikings. Maybe the Vikings come in with an offer. There's things that can happen to get us to those 7 draft picks. And this is absolutely what I see happening. 99% at this point. We only have 4 picks. And we have 3 on defense and 5 on offense holes to fill. You can say 4 on there, but at least 7 picks that we need to fill. And we definitely need 2 wide receivers. If you're saying we're replacing quarterback, we have to fill 9 spots. That's not going to happen by trading down from 9 unless you're trading down 3rd rounds and 4th rounds and getting 6th and 7th round picks. And those aren't your starters, as we've talked about on here. That's what you do out of necessity in 2021 and 2022. And those players are no longer on the roster. Those players don't cut the mustard. Your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounders, those are the ones that make your starters. This is why we're trading out of number 1. But the most important news of the day, Keenan Allen is a frickin' Chicago Bear. He brings all of this with him, and this 6'2 stud is now lining up in the slot or up on the outside on different sets, and he is lined up with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, and probably Marvin Harrison Jr. That's what we have in Chicago, guys. This is freaking exciting. I could not be more pumped. Let me know your thoughts in the comment. If you haven't checked it out, go check out the live reaction that we had with Swifty. Go check out the entire thing because this is huge. You're going to hear about it all day. This is the big stuff. There's nothing left to look forward to in free agency. If you've looked at the salary cap I've shown, there's nothing left. There might be minimal moves, league minimum contracts of rotating certain players in, finding pieces to come in and compete at camp. This was it. Maybe you're going to hear about a contract extension from Keenan Allen, restructuring a little bit, extending him out. That would only give us a little space to give the buffer room. That's all that's going to be. This is it. This is the big splash. There's no more big splash coming. There's not Chase Young anymore. This was it. But it's a huge it. It was absolutely a splash. Ryan Poles, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving us something we have not had the entire time Justin Fields has been here. We have not had this type of wide receiver and tight end room. It's already huge. We just need to add more pieces in the draft to keep it going because these contracts are coming to an end. But more importantly, we've got him. We've got Keenan Allen. We have 2 number 1 wide receivers. We're now competing with the Eagles and the Dolphins and the Seahawks and teams like that have stacked wide receiver rooms. We're competing with them now, and that's so exciting. I love it. I love it. This feels like Christmas morning. I'm so freaking excited. I cannot wait for the draft to see what happens. I cannot wait for that number 1 pick to be traded away and see what kind of haul we get for it. It's going to be huge. It's going to be legendary. Ryan Poles has now cemented himself as a legend. I love it. All right, until next time, hope you guys have an awesome day, awesome weekend. Keep coming at you with stuff. Until next time, bear down.